Hello everyone, my name is AZZATRU, how are you, and welcome to another Star Wars gaming video of mine. And in this video I'm going to be talking about how upcoming Star Wars movies could affect the games we get. And I'm going to be specifically talking about the games we get on console and PC. I'm not going to be discussing the mobile sort of things because at the end of the day, the console and PC games are made exclusively by EA and they're more substantial and have a lot more impact on the gaming industry than a new mobile game. I'm going to be breaking down what we know is already in development and information about them, what we could see after these games are out of development and more. But I'm just going to start off by saying that EA currently have the exclusive rights to making Star Wars games on console and PC. They signed the deal around May 2013, which would last 10 years, which means there will only be EA making Star Wars console and PC games until around May 2023. That contract ends in just over 4 years, and this contract cost EA a lot of money. So what happens at the end of the contract then? Well, the deal could end and they may not extend it. Disney may not decide to extend it, especially after what has happened with Battlefront 2. And this could allow other developers, other studios and publishers to license the Star Wars brand as well as EA. So EA could still keep making, say, Battlefront games or stuff like that, but then other developers could pay to have the license and it won't be exclusive. Or they could extend it and keep it exclusive with EA, but of course we won't know anything until probably the earliest late 2022 unless they decide to extend it before then, which I would be very surprised if they do so. Now let's move on to what is in development as of today. So Battlefront 2 is still going to be getting content from DICE. I can't see a Battlefront 3 in 2019 at all, or even 2020. It would be best if they don't say anything for quite some time because there is a lot of people still upset about the brand itself. You know, the first game was a success, but the people just didn't like how it was lacking on content, and of course the controversies surrounding the current game. I just think if they were to do a Battlefront 3, 2021 seems a realistic target. Any earlier, and if they do say anything earlier, especially when they're still providing content for the game, is just not a good look. Then we have the Jedi Fallen Order game coming from Respawn Entertainment, which is due out in the holiday of 2019. So we're just over 12 months away. I'm pretty sure it's going to be November, just like Battlefront 2015 and Battlefront 2, so it launches a month before the next Star Wars film, Episode 9. Some people have made jokes and seem to think it's going to be delayed, but I don't think it will be delayed, especially the amount of time they've had to develop it, and the team and management over at Respawn are a great studio in general. They're very, very good, and I just don't think it's going to be delayed. We won't see or hear anything much more or at all until Star Wars Celebration in April next year, because that I think is going to be the massive reveal. We'll get a reveal trailer, potentially some gameplay, but I think it'll just be details, and then at EA Play in June that year we'll get some gameplay just like they did with Battlefront 2. It makes a ton of sense and it gives them a lot of time to not build so much expectations for the game right now. I think if they release, say, a trailer tomorrow, there would be a lot of expectations going into next year, and it sort of keeps the expectations a little bit lower so they can surprise everyone when they do reveal it at Star Wars Celebration next year. If you're interested in Jedi Fallen Order, let me know in the comment section below if you'd like me to make a video telling you everything we know so far about the game. There is some details that I've seen some people not pick up on, so let me know in the comments and I will make it in the next couple of weeks or so if you do want it. And the third and final current game in development for the Star Wars franchise is an open world game from Motive Vancouver. This is taking the remainants of Visceral's linear story game and putting it in a huge open world. We don't know anything about it right now, other than the fact that EA Vancouver took control of the project in around October or September last year, and they've been hard at work with it. They've been hiring a lot of experienced developers from many huge AAA open world franchises and just general good franchises in the industry. They've been ramping up hiring as well as production, and they've been at it for about a year now, so it seems like the game is targeting a late 2020 release, maybe even 2021, that March, February timeframe. And, we don't really know anything about it other than it probably will feature a lot of elements or at least assets that were confirmed by Jade Raymond, who is running this whole motive situation. She said they would potentially be using assets. They've got terabytes of data, terabytes of assets that Visceral did create for their game, and they wouldn't want to let it go to waste. So let's talk about how the games could be affected by the upcoming Star Wars games. So Battlefront 3 or another game or two will probably be worked on from 2020 and get out before the contract expires in 2023, so a late 2022 release date potentially. And Jedi Fallen Order will release near Episode 9, like I said, so it will help sell it. Episode 9, whether you like Last Jedi or not, Episode 9 is going to be a huge movie, and putting a Star Wars game a month before, especially in that Christmas time frame, will really help push the sales of Jedi Fallen Order. If it was, for example, releasing in spring of next year, May, I think that was originally an idea for it to release, it just wouldn't get the sales it should do. We actually don't know of a Star Wars film releasing in 2020, so there might not be as of yet. There were rumours that the Star Wars story spin-offs have been put on hold, but it seems like they've sort of just taken a look back and thought, okay, we'll concentrate on Episode 9, get that out of the way, and then focus on potentially a Kenobi or Boba Fett film. We don't really have all the details, to be honest. Now, we do know Rian Johnson is working on a few films, and so are the Game of Thrones directors. They're working on multiple films, and I think we could see at least the first one of either of these two sets of films at the earliest 2022, but I think they'll probably last throughout the decade, 2023, 2025, 2027. I think they're the years they'll probably be aiming for. So upcoming Star Wars games, whether they are from EA or are from other publishers and studios, could take inspiration from the Rian Johnson and Game of Thrones director films. I think there is lots of new stuff they could explore, plenty of new eras, whether it's set far in the future of the Skywalker saga or far in the past. These guys could go anywhere in between, and I think games could really take advantage of this and create a meaningful experience. Right now, all of the games we have out or are coming out are set from within the Clone Wars to the sequel trilogy, but they mainly focus on the time after Episode 3, Order 66, and during the original trilogy. Of course, the original trilogy is the most popular era of Star Wars, but I feel like games need to expand a little bit. I'm happy where Jedi Fallen Order is set, but I'm a little bit concerned about the open world game. If it is going to be set in that sort of time frame between the end of the Republic to the rise of the Empire, I just think maybe we could have seen a different era, but who knows what they will do. I think the films coming after Episode 9 have a huge potential to be wildly successful, and games could follow these. Disney may commission a game to be made after one of these filmed releases. This is purely just an example, but what if Rian Johnson made a trilogy about the Old Republic or quite far in the past? Maybe they would commission games based around those films, or at least that era, because after all, we do have plenty of games set within the original trilogy and now sort of the sequel trilogy. If they aren't a success, which I would be very shocked if they aren't, they probably not really use them for video games. They would focus on the original trilogy and bring sort of the old school Star Wars, which is still the most popular, back into games again. As for LEGO Star Wars games, I think because of the way The Last Jedi went and Solo, they probably opted to stop making The Last Jedi LEGO Star Wars game and wait till Episode 9 is out. Because if you remember, we had The Force Awakens come out, and then a few months later we got wind of the LEGO Star Wars game based around it, and then it came out June 2016. And it was really, really popular, and it still is a very popular game to this day. It's still selling pretty well, actually, in the UK. And then, when The Last Jedi came out, 5-6 months passed, and we basically got no information about a LEGO Last Jedi game, and I was quite surprised, to be honest. I genuinely thought they would be doing one. And then we got news that they decided to do the Incredibles 2 game instead. And then, you know, Solo has been out, and we've literally had no information about a Solo game. I don't think they would have done a Solo game anyway. I think what they're going to be doing is waiting until episode 9 is out, and then in the early part, and then in, you know, early 2020, spring 2020, we'll get a collection of The Last Jedi, Solo, and episode 9. It just makes perfect sense because they've done every other Star Wars film, even the Clone Wars, in a Lego game, and I feel like people would want to replay The Last Jedi in Lego form. I'm genuinely surprised we haven't got it before, but, you know, maybe Solo would be really fun in a Lego form as well, but I'll guess we'll find out in like 18 months from now. And another thing to keep in mind is that in 2020 we are going to be getting a new console from Xbox and PlayStation pretty much. The new generation of consoles will be coming in, which will allow developers to have more power to develop games, and with that EA contract coming to an end, who knows, maybe they'll be able to pull out something incredible before the contract does end, and after 2023, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, they have a clear plan for what Star Wars films they want to release, but it's going to be hard to say for now. At the end of the day, it is the end of 2018. We don't really have, we won't really know much about the upcoming films for quite some time. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it somewhat interesting. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on what I've said. You know, how do you think these films will do, and how will the films affect the games? What games are you most excited for? Let me know in the comment section below. Drop a like if you enjoyed it, and check out any of the 2 previous videos on the screen if you did miss them. And I shall see you all in my next Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. Goodbye.